In this video, we want to make more progress on this member manager whose job is to keep information about other members. Their nickname, what avatar they're using, whether they're muted or unmuted. You kind of need some information in order to show stuff about them. So that's what the member manager is. And part of the member manager's job is to answer questions for other services. So we can create maybe some kind of observable that a web XR manager to keep track of, knowing when we should subscribe. Web manager subscribe to Agora only when more than one unmuted member. Okay, so we need a count of unmuted members. So if we go to the member manager here, here's our member manager. And it's created by the orchestrator. We have a present set to see who's present. And that's because the presence can pop in and off quite frequently. I think we need another data structure for everything else, which was the member state. This was whether you're muted, unmuted, all that kind of stuff. So we can say member states, maybe public member states is a object with key is member ID, which is a string, and it points to a member state. So everything except presences will be in here. Then we connect, we have a copy of the channel or a reference to the channel. So we create a present set and we create a member states as an empty object, maybe just with ourself. So it will be this orchestrator member ID, and this will be this my initial state. And then we listen to when the space channel becomes connected, at which point we subscribe to listen to member updates. So, okay, I don't think we actually need to listen for that. We can just go ahead and do this now. Because of the recent changes, the channel is going to be created immediately on the Space Broker, so that's all going to be available. And so we don't really need to wait for the space channel connected at all. So we just listen to member updates. The member updates creates, it listens for present state and presence diff, and we combine, let's see, present state, we update this thing, and okay, so we're updating the present set with this. And that's fine. I think we can add present state is just an observable. So it means you can subscribe to it, you can combine it and do other things. So, okay, so let's just change this into yeah, an observable of this thing. Whoops. Okay, so let's add two more. So we get public presence state, and that's an observable of type presence state, public presence diff, and that's an observable of presence diff. And then to member updates, we'll set them. So this and this. Then we add some subscriptions to update the presence set. That doesn't tell me how many muted or unmuted people you have. We have the total member count, and so this will update the limit, and if it were just the number of people, that would be fine. But I think we need to keep track of when we mute and unmute something. When we mute and unmute, we need to broadcast to other users. And what is our signal? Can we see if anyone muted or unmuted? No. We got when somebody pressed join, when a space channel says you're connected. Camera ready, controller ready, hand movement, X component change, camera moved, XR state change, spaces API. So let's create some other events. One could be publish audio, unpublish audio. I guess it should just be mute or unmute. So unmute, or maybe audio, and it can be mute, unmute. And screen or video, which can be screen, camera, or off. In that case, it can be microphone. So mic can be on or off. And video can be screen, it can be camera, or it can be off. And if we do this, we just know that it's ourself because there's no member ID here. So it's a message to ourself. So then do we need this message here? Because we can kind of get that through menu action, isn't it? Yeah, you kind of, okay. Let me see. Hold off on these. Let me see. Let's go to the menu. So we have main. No, we got menu manager. Menu manager has this thing. You got the menu div, you got menu action, and then this is mute or unmute. And possibly another one if you're in 2D. So this sends menu action and a name and an optional payload. Okay. So if we look at A, it takes menu action and it will emit menu action and the props for menu action, which is a name and a payload. And up top here is when we handle all of these. And only this one is using the payload type. This is for when you want to create a primitive. It got a payload type to send a little bit more information. So we want to, so this is enough to get the message here. We want to what do we want to do? We want to say, all we want to do is we want to change the state. So what we could do is we could listen for this. I mean, we're listening for it here. What do we want to do? We want to say, do something in member manager. We are, let me see. Okay, changing the state here, and you're causing side effects and changing the state, redrawing it. All right, so they're saying I want to unmute. If we get the message of unmute, then we definitely need to join and then unmute then, right? So before we make any external calls, we should change member manager. So member manager might have a better time calling like, oh, the mic is muted or it's not muted, versus having an API that's very coupled to the page. So this link here this thing always emits menu action. But can I get it to emit something else? Which is I suppose so. You just don't just have it say emit something. It's always an event and then some kind of payload. It's always that. So then menu manager on the A, instead of saying menu action, you could say we could just give it a function. When you click it, do this function. And that might be the best thing of all. So just give it a function that says, like this, for example. And in here it could be signal hub emit. That way it's checked, and then the payload as such. I think I like that. Okay, so A. So we need a callback. Let's call it props. A, props, key, something, yes, and then the text. Props. Oh, A takes props and text, yes. And one of the props has to be callback. Callback is required. Got props. Okay, and then on pointer observable add. And here you'll just run the callback. Will that work? What if you need to pass something through? Does that work for the toggle or the if you want to create something? All right, so if we did this, what happens to, okay, so this needs to be a name and then a callback. Emit this. Name toggle menu. Okay, toggle menu. And toggle menu a label. Emit this thing and menu action, and the value has to have a name and an optional payload, right? Payload is missing. Let's go to signal hub. Payload, I think, is optional. Go back to menu manager. Now that's fine. Okay, again, this will be callback and signal hub emit menu action, provide a name. That's the end of the emit, and the parameters. So what happens on other pages that use the A tag? So let's look for A tag here. The menu manager uses the callback about, needs to use the callback here. The one I'm interested in is the primitives. If it works here, it should work everywhere. So you have this, and great. So you got the A tag here. Second argument is the primitive, and then here's the properties. The properties, let's say that it's going to be callback, and it is a function, and the emit signal hub emit create primitive. Oh no. We're not creating a primitive, we're doing spaces API. And then we're doing the function, which is a string and args, like that. And that needs to be in an object, like so. And then I think it can work. The function is called what? It's called so we were managing this in the menu manager. Here. So we actually just want to do that over there. So copy. And put this into primitives. And let's see, just do that. So the callback definition here gets a little out of hand. Why don't we just do const callback equal that. And oh, callback needs something. Where's our Chrome? Chrome. JS double arrow function. Is there a single arrow? Single arrow. I don't think it has an arrow. Okay. JS single arrow function. I don't think it has one. It just has a arrow. Okay, so I actually think we need to define this as a function because we need to defer to the something that's oh, no. Okay, first of all, we can just define it in here. So we're mapping over the primitives. Return A, and the callback is, so, okay, yeah, we can still use double arrow function. Const. So we want to do this in the map. Cut here, paste here, const callback, equal function add, and the argument is the payload type, but we actually, the type is just the primitive here. So it gets even simpler. We didn't have to like dig it out of the payload. That's what this callback is. Init spaces API function, and the arg is create that thing. And you simply have the operator here with callback to callback, which we could just say that's called a callback. And I think we can just safely put this on one line. Okay, I think that works. So you got a callback, and this one, change it to callback. So menu action, and go to main. So then we don't need any of this. We can just say main back to main callback. And we can do that in logs. More main. Ooh-wee. Then this will be, I can make a callback function for this. So here I'm just making this a little bit more concise. So, okay, go to about. Doesn't look like we're naming any of these, so we'll just say callback, go to about. This one will be callback, go to logs, and go to primitives. What else? And this one says callback. Yeah, go back to callback. Go to main. I'll just say that this is the callback. Alright, I think I've done this everywhere. Do I still have this? Primitives 928. JavaScript error. Cannot read properties of undefined reading space channel. This channel, this, okay, so this is not available in the member manager. Okay, so order of operations. We've got to attach the space channel, space broker before member manager. Okay, so orchestrator. Probably the very first thing we should create is the broker. Log manager overrides log, so we do need this right up. Slug, that's easy, space broker, and then I think all the other stuff is good. No, bunch of errors here. Maximum call stack size exceeded. Helper, okay. Hope we didn't go into an infinite loop. What's happening on this side? Okay, it's not here. It's here. Helpers. Okay, so, okay. Apply attributes. Callback. Uh-oh. So in the helpers, let's not do this. This apply attributes. Key. Return. So if hold on. For each, let's do key. If key is not equal to callback, how about that? Bend this. Hard crash of the browser.